Anita Finley, and I am the Zoomer Times TV host, and I always had the best people on. In fact, we had someone on from Staten Island, and then someone from Springfield, Missouri. As a matter of fact, I forgot to mention that was where she's from. And now, Richard Lederer, who of course is from San Diego. I was going to ask you before we even go further, are you being affected by the fires at all?
Not much, in that it's mostly north of us, Los Angeles and above. The second and third worst fires, which means together the worst fire disaster, meaning bad star. This is bad, aster is of course star, in our history. And rarely, but at times, our sky does go dark red, even in the day. But it is a horror. And as Bill Gates has pointed out, you think COVID-19 is bad, wait till you get global warming. And we're seeing this. And last year was our first worst fire season. Now this one has eclipsed it in 2 ways. And we still have at least a month more of fire season here.
I'm glad you mentioned about the global warming, because that's what I've been saying to people. They said it's going to be 30 years from now. No, it isn't. It's now. We have done everything in our power not to believe it, or not we, but the people, the powers of be that can make a difference. And here it is. And California is such a precious place. So I'm scared, because I mean, people better really put this high on their agenda to do something now.
Anita, if the Greenland ice cap breaks off, we're talking up to 40 feet of sea rise, which might give me, and I'm 10 miles inland, I might have oceanside property as a result of that, but I wouldn't want it. And it is now, and we don't hear a lot of it in the campaigns. And as Bill Gates said, if you think COVID is bad, wait till you get global warming. We know it's coming, and you just don't hear much about it, particularly in the leadership today, frankly. It's just not there. It's overshadowed by the other stuff. And it is, and you know, I've got 7 grandkids. This is the issue. And Florida, by the way, could lose a little bit of land with this, a lot of land.
Yep. Well, we've been very fortunate not to have a major hurricane, at least at this moment, but it's the whole country is just reeling from so much. And I don't know. I don't want to get into any politics. I just want to get into something that's peaceful and happy. And because of that, Richard Lederer is a really famous book writer, an author. How many books have you actually written, Richard?
My current books, Anita, A Treasury of Halloween Humor and A Treasury of Christmas Humor, are my 51st and 52nd. Stop me before I write again. But honestly,
I brought these. I brought these to show people.
Wonderful. Take a look.
They're really gorgeous. They're so much fun. And I'd like to talk a lot about it on this show. So tell us about what made you do A Treasury of Halloween Humor and Christmas Humor, and who is the graphic designer? Just go for it.
Okay, let's start with the designer, and if you wouldn't mind, Anita, holding the books up, because there's going to be a nice message here. So first of all, yes, you can see them well, and you get a sense of the fun of them. My artist, because I'm actually the designer, and I'll explain that, is a fellow named Jim McLean. He is he is a former art professor of art at a university in Atlanta. And when he retired in the 90s, he decided his whole life wanted to be a cartoonist. And I started seeing his work in much less detail than what you see on the screen. And I started seeing his work much more sketchily. And I said, OMG, this man draws the way I think. And here we are 14 and 15 books later. That is, he has illustrated, counting these two,
Oh,
14 and 15 of my books.
amazing.
Um, and so, and here is a wonder, he is 91, I am 82. So for all of you whippersnappers out there in your 70s or even above, these are the books for you. And and what they are they're each about
A
100.
Halloween humor book. So tell us what people, what all about this. Where do you get this information? It just comes in your brain. How does it all work? Love to
And
get into your brain sometime.
I will tell you, folks out there, incidentally, watch out. I'm silently correcting your grammar, or you can be correcting mine. Because if you ain't
Right.
going to speak no good English, I ain't going to be working with you irregardless, or disregardless. Let me stay
Right.
with Jim though. So what happened is we've had a great partnership together. So what happened is when the Halloween book came in its first pass, which was in terrible shape, but we got it under control, I sent the electronic interior to Jim. And I waited about a half hour and called him and said, "Hey, Jim, have you been able to open and examine the pages?" And he said, "Rich, I've just opened them, and this is the culmination of my life as an artist." He was creaming over the phone and said, "All the other books, but this one," because each of the books has 50 plus cartoons, if it's in black and white, of course, interiorly. But it was one of the great moments in my life. And Anita, you know that when you affect another human being's life, which you're doing all the time. Yes, there are examples from Halloween. Yeah, the Jolly Green Giant and all that, the monsters. So let's, and we're going to tell you how you can order. And you can order through PayPal or my email, and I'll talk about that. But Anita, how you do it, just some combination, as you know, love, of genetic and environmental roulette. I am just this machine that just captures all sorts of facts. And since I'm a columnist and I have been writing my column for many, many years, decades, they start to accumulate. And of course, every Halloween and Christmas, I wrote a language column for our metropolitan paper here and in New Hampshire about Halloween and Christmas. And then after 10 years, you look and you say, my gosh, I've got the start of a book here. And you
Right.
don't throw anything away. You take the best of it. And learning dressed up to have fun, which I think you said. So for example, with Halloween, it is both our oldest and our youngest holiday. In this sense, oldest because it's quite pre-Christian, decade, centuries before Christianity. But in America, and the book talks about the Irish immigration in the 19th, early 20th century, which brought the holiday over and changed the turnip into pumpkins and other gourds. And this is the 100th year of the first major American celebration of Halloween, in Anoka, Minnesota. So it's both the oldest and youngest. Now let's take Christmas. And of course, gift giving is baked more into the nature of that holiday. And friends, I just would be delighted if I can help you with your gift giving. And I'm going to tell you how to do that shortly. So let's just take Christmas. Why is it called Christmas? It's the Mass of Christ. There's a whole section on etymology. So for example, you might wonder, why did the true love give the narrator, presumably a female, not only a partridge, but a whole blanking pear tree? Well, you will find out in the book, and the answer is linguistic. Another example is in there is obviously Santa Claus isn't in the Bible. He came along much later. And how did that happen? And then how did Clement Clark Moore's A Visit from St. Nicholas, which we know better as The Night Before Christmas, what effect did that have on our image of Santa Claus? What about 1844 and Charles Dickens and A Tale of Two Cities? A huge effect, etc., etc. One thing after another. And you learn, and of course, you get the jokes. What do you call an empty hot dog? A Halloweeny?
I know.
What does Santa feel like when he gets stuck in the chimney? And the answer is he experienced Santa claustrophobia. And these things, so as a writer or
Well, I
anybody
have a
else.
question. If someone wants to buy the book, how much is it?
Okay, the book is $13
Okay.
is all. And for all those illustrations, and you're such a supporter, and I support what you do. And incidentally, on the book, Anita, I did the design because with self-publishing, first time I did it, you have to do that. So here's what I suggest. If you're interested in personally signed books, I'm going to give you my email address, and the bazillion listeners here, and even those who are not from Brazil, Richard H. Lederer, Lederer. Be sure to put the H in, Richard H. Lederer at gmail.com. And then write me, and I will tell you how you can get them. And also through that, Richard H. Lederer at gmail.com, you can pay by PayPal, or you can send me a check and I'll give you directions. I would love to be helpful. I will inscribe and sign. You know why an author loves to inscribe and sign, Anita? A, more to the recipient, and B, the recipient can't give it away to someone else.
That's right. Very funny, yes.
And just on this idea of publishing, very quickly, here's what I've discovered. The reason I've self-published here, after 50 brick and mortar publishing, is that unless you are a ginormous, humongous celebrity, you cannot sell a seasonal book to a brick and mortar publisher. So I've gone self-publishing. And those of you who might be thinking of your memoirs or your novel, sorry, the advantages of self-publishing are, one, the book gets published. You don't have to jump through all the hoops, with an agent and publishers and this and that. Two, the copyright is in your name. Mm-hmm. Three, you have control over the price. And four, you get a better price point because you're doing more of the work. The disadvantages are that you will not be displayed in bookstores, but you will be displayed, in my case, on Amazon all over the place. Mm-hmm. And incidentally, that's another way to get it. You go to Amazon, you'll see both treasuries there, but you won't get my signature. And I think it's the same price and inscription. And you have to do the design. That's why you get the better price point. So that was my design, the cover and everything else. And so with your memoir, it's a thought, and I encourage you that way. Your kids don't give a fig, but boy, your grandkids are interested at some point in their lives.
Yeah, that's true. But, I just, in looking through the books as I did when you sent them to me, there's so many little goody things to say and to do. So what I suggest, and I like this, is when you send someone an email, just, I think it's allowed, just take a couple of the things he has on a page and, and just send it, because it makes the email more fun.
I agree very, very much. I'm actually working with a number of charities here, and one of them is a group that provides bicycles for South Africans, for adults who, for example, all-terrain bicycles, and that's one of them, and public radio here, and libraries, and rotaries, and churches. Uh, and that's been great fun. And of course, we're at the age where we really want to give back, which you've been doing forever anyway. But just, something different. And I would just love to sign and inscribe and do people's holiday shopping. Obviously, it's harder to get out these days, and I can save you getting out, and especially with Christmas and all of that. So I
Well,
would.
let me now kind of talk to you about a couple of things. Your September issue, where you wrote a column called "A Classical Primer of Political Word Origins." That was really quite, I don't know what the word is. That was a lot of work and a lot of thought that went into that. And do you just come up with these things, or you have them written down somewhere? I have no idea how you do this.
And you're so kind. I know that's such a sincere question. And thanks for running that. Um, I guess the answer is this. When you've done it for decades and decades and decades, it gets patterned. So here we are in the year of, at the months of electile dysfunction. And I
Yeah,
really hope
right. That's a
everyone
good
out
word.
there is going to get out and exercise his or her choice for candidates. And we'll perhaps get a chance to talk about those words, but they are going to be in the current issue. They are in the current issue. Yes, I don't write with much with a pen or pencil, but I store them. I've got all sorts of files. And then when I get enough, bingo, it becomes a column such as what you see.
I see.
So that would be the answer. And just because I am so fascinated with etymology, and we see here how the classical worlds of the Greeks and the Romans are with us today. And that was the point of the article. So when we get to this time, I go, gee, I got a file somewhere about these words. Oh, there they
I
are.
see.
Then I put them together. So it's quite incremental. And I think the moral is don't throw anything away. And by the way, because of the election, I'm wearing my Uncle Sam hat.
Right. I know you don't sleep with it. Let me pursue this a little further. So, because you are so skilled, and we've had so many columns over the many, many years, as you were saying earlier, is there anyone else in this country or in the world that does this?
Well, gosh, I'm at the risk of
You can
boasting.
brag. You can brag if you want to. I have no idea. I mean, I really don't.
Well, you know how the saying goes, Anita, it ain't bragging if it's true.
Okay.
So here's the answer, yes and no. There are certainly people who do etymology, and that means that's from the etymology of etymology is the study of the truth. And there are people who do that, and some of them very well. But of course, I do history of the language. I do jokes and humor. I do anagrams, palindromes, and I have read everything about language, and I have never met anyone else who does them all. In other words, it's my range that I think is different because just to find somebody who can write eloquently, as in this piece, and at the same time do palindromes. So Richard Lederer, an anagram of my name is Riddler Reacher. And in the books, there are riddles, there are games, and so on, and everything under the sun, etymology, history, lore, obviously the cartoons from Jim McLean. No, I do not think anyone else like that has ever existed.
Yeah,
And
so that's
lucky.
now is your mother, when she was living, and your dad, were they very much supportive of what you did? I mean, did they see that you were such a genius at this?
My father died when I was 14, so I
Oh,
think
okay,
that kind of
okay.
well, because my parents were born in 1894 and 1899. I was
Uh,
the youngest of five, and I came much later. And to
uh,
be honest, we were not a home of books. My dad had only a sixth grade education.
uh,
My siblings were not into that, and somehow, genetically
amazing.
and environmental, it happened to me, and it happened early. And then I went on to become editor of my junior high school literary magazine. And
Oh my
because
goodness.
I love to write. Who
Right.
knows how, but it happened.
Wow. Yeah.
And all of that. And you're just such a great interviewer because it's, you know, about the interviewee and I have to say Chris Matthews on what is it, MSNBC, he just dominated, and he's gone now, and I'm sure
I
a good
know.
guy, but he just dominated the
I
people
know.
he interviewed. And of course, Joy Reid, his replacement, is
Yeah.
terrific. And you're an interviewer like that.
Well, thank you. Well, it takes just really caring and interested. I'm interested in all this, and I think a lot about it, and so I don't prepare, but I'm interested in people like you because you're unique in a sense. I mean, I didn't know how unique, but what you come up with and what you've done. So throughout your when you were in your 20s, 30s, and you had your growing family, what was your major job?
I was a teacher in a church boarding school in Concord, New Hampshire.
Ah,
That's how I got to know your cousins, Claude uh,
oh,
and Lil. And incidentally, I'm
ah,
going to be virtually speaking at the Walker Lecture in Concord, where ordinarily Claude and Louise would attend, but of course
uh-huh,
that's not going to happen.
right.
But I'm today or tomorrow sending them an invitation to that live, uh, and of course that's how we got connected with you, and that's the point. You reach
Ah,
out, and if you don't adore people, uh, you're not going to be the best linguist you could be. So you and
yes,
I are kind of the ultimate extroverts, and that really helps our
yes.
work. You have to love people with all the flaws, and we do. But folks, in the Boomer Times, just to give you an example or two, the word candidates is from candidatus, and it meant one who wears the white toga. And the
Uh-huh.
belief was that white was the color of purity and probity, and so they would chalk their togas white and go out into the forum. Uh,
Ah,
but then their sectatorists, their followers, would be bribing people and soliciting votes. And from that word candidate, we get incandescent, candle, candid for truth. But the idea of brightness as you chalked up your toga gives us incandescence. So that's one of about a dozen that I have there. Another is inaugurate, which literally means to take omens from the flight of birds. And these augurs would actually advise Roman generals on whether or not to go to battle by
ah,
flights of birds or extracting the guts out of birds that were shot or had died or whatever.
ah.
And this is what happens now. The candidates today, they take flight with their promises and they spill their guts for everyone. And
Well
the point
said.
is the influence of centuries and centuries, millennia ago, on how we speak. About half of our English words have meaning bearing elements from Latin and more than 10% from Greek. We are the great lagoon of nations, and just these wonderful ships come sailing in from all parts of the world, ancient, modern, near and far. And this is an example at this time in our lives.
And it's funny you should mention, I was going to say something about that. My husband Bill had an excellent vocabulary. He spoke so well, and he attributed it to taking Latin in school. And
Absolutely.
right, and I of course never took Latin. I mean, he helped me, he taught me a lot of things, but Latin wasn't something that was offered generally. I mean, must have been couldn't have been, it must have been a dry subject, wasn't it?
Uh, as as high school students have said for decades,
Yeah.
Latin is a language as dead as it can be.
Oh.
First it killed the Romans, and now it's killing me.
Ha ha. That's
So here's the point. Yes, and again, you and I went through at the same time, and Latin just wasn't offered then. That now it used to be quite a bit, and it's 1 year of Latin is worth 5 years of Spanish or French on the
huh.
essay.
Isn't that
as
great?
an example. And
Well,
in a
they
book
should be
that I
doing it
hope,
now then, shouldn't they?
I think
But they
so.
don't. Huh?
And anybody out there, if you need my work on Latin and its influence on the English language, email me once again, also for the books, Richard H. Lederer. Got to get the H in and then Lederer at gmail.com.
Yeah, that's well said. And you know, some of the books, of all the books you've written, of all the books, Richard, what would you say? I guess a couple of them. What was your bestseller, and what is the one that you like the best of
Here's some,
all of the books?
and I'm actually going through for a reason here, but
I know
okay.
you're getting
So,
something.
well, I wanted to get I had thrown it away, my email address and so on, but I think twice should be enough. Okay, so the answer to that is some of the ones, my favorite, Anguished English, which sold 1 million copies and spawned 4 successors. So that's an important book to me. Word Wizard, these are all on Amazon or from me, signed and inscribed, because it is the most embracive of my books until I sell Verbivore Feast, which I haven't been able to yet. So I would say that one and the holiday books, because they just are such a joy at this time of year. So keep on speaking just for the heck of it.
Okay. Well, whatever, you know, I have to tell you, and you're now calling in from San Diego, which is
Hold it.
important.
I found it. There it is.
Okay. Okay,
So here's
good.
my website, and very easy, Richard H. Lederer. And I emptied my
Okay.
wastebasket because I'd thrown it in.
So Richard is calling in from San Diego. They are 3 hours earlier than we. And it's such a nice thing to have someone who is so different. When you go on to the senior websites or into senior magazines, you rarely find anybody as intellectual and as smart as Richard. And it's been a privilege, actually, for us to have someone like that. I do try to take the seniors, and many of whom are very well educated, and sometimes they forget who they are. But yet when they read articles like this, because I will tell you, I did have a comment. I don't think I ever shared it with you. Sometimes we just don't have space, and rather than delete anything, we write as much as we can, and then we put the rest on the website. I had a man send me a full page typed letter from Aventura, very intelligent. He said, "Why do you take Richard Lederer's column and not put the whole thing on in the magazine?" He said, "Because I don't want to take the time to go to the website. Delete some of the other things for the room." I mean, he was really deliberate about your column. I wanted you to know that.
Well, he should be practicing, Anita, he should be practicing the link letterer art. And I know all of our listeners know the allusion there. Look, Anita has only a certain amount of space. She has a lot of folks who want to write for her. And
Right.
just a little click and we'll do you. Remember, a little dab will do you.
Yeah, I remember that, and very much so. But you know, you're very, let's see, I don't know how much more time we have, because I know you have to get out of here. It's,
No, that's okay. I'm here for another hour for you.
oh,
Kidding.
no, that's okay. Well, we don't, all of a sudden we get shut off too. That's the thing. We only have a certain amount of time, but I think I show now that it's 2:30 here, and I don't know how it is for you, but Dan always tells us when we, you know, when we're going to run out of time. But let me just, so you already answered me what you said about what book you liked the best and what sold the most. But you have done children's books too. We haven't talked about
9 of them. And anybody who wants to know, just email me at richardhlederer@gmail.com, and I will send you a complete list of my books and how to order inscribed and signed.
But now if they go on Amazon, Richard, excuse me, if they go on Amazon, they can find a lot of your books there, can't they?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the children's books are there. I mean, you know, it's 52 books. It's hard to keep track of them. I do have a closing thought, if I may, Anita.
Please, please.
I think one of the, and Anita and I are basically chronological twins, and I think
Yes.
one of the great things about reaching our age with a lot to look forward to is that you never lose the other ages. What I mean is, it's not just that you're in, well, if you don't mind my saying, Anita,
Yeah,
in my case, 82,
yeah, I
you're
don't mind. I
all
have a
the
problem.
other ages and you remember being them.
Yeah,
And that makes you a very full human being. And that is just part of the thanks that we give for those of us who are not suffering food insecurities, housing
yes,
insecurities, terrible underlying conditions,
yes,
loneliness, which is itself a disease, what we have to give thanks for. And one of them is that we are still all those ages. And I love thinking back, especially, Anita, when I'm out on the tennis court and a shot that I would never miss, I just don't line up for and pop well, in part because I'm playing with a torn rotator cuff and a spine that the MRI, it looks like movies, the alien movies. But nonetheless, I still play, and I
right.
remember fondly what I used to do, and I'm very pleased to do what I can.
No, you're absolutely right. In fact, thing that I enjoy doing so much is that I have a whole list of all the places. I was married for 43 years to a fantastic man, and so
Oh,
for
yeah.
all those years, we did a lot of traveling, did a lot of fun things everywhere. I have a whole list of all those places, and I look at each thing and try to remember what was it like, where do we go, and that's really what you were saying in a way. I'm so happy I have all those years of memories.
And I think another thing to be thankful for is the lifeline that you throw out just by the nature of what you do. Because, as I say, loneliness has been proved to be a disease.
Hmm.
And we just, as we get older, friends become more important. And I know I've done it before, but uh, the Irish blessing, there are good ships and there are wood ships, the ships that sail the sea, but the
Right.
best ships are friendships, may they always be. And, Boomer Times and your whole web work of humanity, um, those are friends, whether they're online friends or you've actually seen them. Uh, Very important. And so it's such a privilege to be part of it with you, Anita.
Well, thank you. And I have to tell you something that I've just now become affiliated with a major, major website called elearningforseniors.com. And if you get on that, you will see something you will not believe. Um, it is so exciting. Um, let's see. We have 3 minutes left. Okay, before cut off, but that's fine. elearningforseniors.com is going to probably be the biggest website for boomers and seniors in creation. And the man who is in charge and asked us to be partner with him to do this, affiliated with him, sold his claim to fame many things, but he had a website called wallstreet.com, sold it for a lot of money. And he's always wanted to do something for seniors. And here we are. I'm on a whole new track about this, Richard. And what I'm going to do with you is it's normally $49 a year for a membership, but up until October the 1st, you can get a free membership. So when I get off this show, I am going to text you how you can get on and get a free membership for life. I want you to get on it because there are courses from all over, thousands of courses you can take.
Wow.
There are articles, there are things. He even has our Boomer Times website. Why it's important for you to know this. When you first open it up, you'll see our Boomer Times there. He's doing that every month, and your article is in there.
Well, that is a thrill. In fact, frankly, I've often wondered why there isn't a TV channel for seniors. I wondered that 20 years ago. I would see
Well,
that go very
well,
well.
I actually was part of something called, let's see if I can, Second Season TV. I was part of that.
That's nice.
We were going to be doing that with a big television, a whole TV show, well, you want to call it a show, but it was going to be lots of shows on there, and everything was going along. And sometime when we're together, I'll tell you about that. That everyone has in their life almost things, right?
Absolutely. Oh my gosh. Well, listen, if
Okay.
you don't experience a failure, you're not living your life.
That's
It's not
true.
a full life.
You're
If
right.
you don't have enemies, at least a
Right.
few, and failure, it's not a full life.
Right. Well, Richard, it's been wonderful having you on, and enjoy your next performance.
I have
And
two
we'll be
more
back
today.
again with your next article in our October issue.
Hey, is Palm Beach near you? I hate to be
Yes,
geographical.
very.
Okay, I am doing my president's talk for them in October.
Not in
The
person.
No, you know that. No, Palm Beach Mensa has
Okay,
asked me. I mean, I'm busier Zooming these days
that's
uh,
right.
than before. I just wish I bought stock in the company.
I know, haven't we all? Anyway, thank you, Richard.